Welcome back for the part number 8, where we keep working on the user interface. In the last video we have created the score. Today instead we will work on the HUD. That will be the life bar or our spaceship. This is one of the classic elements of these kind of games, where you have the life bar or the number of lives left. We create the life bar because it's a bit more complex to create compared to the number of lives. Okay, for starting we need to go on the player and we will create a life variable for it. Last time we used a global variable, but today we use a different one, the instance variable. The instance variable is related to a specifically game elements called instance. The spaceship sprite that is on the screen is one instance of the spaceship object. If I add to the same object on the screen again, there will be another instance of the variable. Therefore, when I create for the player the instance variable life, there will be only one for it. But if I create the instance variable life for the enemy, even if they have the same names, they will not be related. So in addition, if I have more than one copy of the enemy, their life points will not be affected by each other, even if they derive from the same object. Therefore, the instance variable works in a different way compared to the global variable that is unique in all the game. Here you can see that there are no instance variable for the enemy because it's not related to the one we created before for the player. So if I create an instance variable here for the enemy, then every enemy I will drag inside the screen will have their own instance variable called life. But as I said before, even if I have 10 enemies on the screen, one enemy can have like 3 points of life, another one 5. So very independent between each other. Let's go back to our spaceship that we call player, and let's set the initial value of life to 100. In this way we can use it as a percentage. To add the sprite, right click on the layout and let's load the one of the sprite of the asset pack that I have created for this game. Okay, let's see what the images outside. Okay, I prefer the number 5 of this one. You can choose the one that you prefer or modify it and experiment something new. So it's really up to you. There are many different styles that you can create as a life bar. Okay, let's place the origin point on top left. Okay, and we set the position to 0, 0 because we want that it stays very well on top to avoid to cover too much of the play area. We rename the sprite in life bar, or maybe life bar container, better. Okay, and let's create now another object. I have already created to make it easy to pick up the colors from my palette, but you can just do it directly. It's just a couple pixels. So this sprite will be just stretched according to the life value of the player. And let's place it well inside the life bar container. Make sure that these elements will stay on the user interface layer or HUD. Otherwise, when playing the game, they will move out of the screen and the player will not be able to see them anymore. Okay, so it will start in this way from here. Let's put a little bit at the reach, yeah, and then we'll move on the right as soon as the life increases. On start of layout, we want to add another action together with the other actions we did before. And we set the instance variable of the player here from set value life to 100, just to make sure that every time the game starts, the player gets always its full energy. Here, where we have the collision between the player and the enemy bullet, we add a sub event with Biim, and we need to make sure this time that this action is performed only when the player is still alive. So we go on the player, compare instance variable, life, when life is greater than 0, that means if the player is still alive. Okay, and then we add also the else as an alternative if the condition will be false. Therefore, this will be triggered if the life is equal to 0 or less. If it is 0 or less, we do all the actions in this block here, and let's drag it down here. Instead, if it's greater than 0, we add a new action, and we go on player, set value, life, and we type here player dot, and you can see life appearing here. So you find all the instance variable inside here, plus all the other function you can use, like x and y and so on, or all the other information. So the value of life of the player will be changing in what? So we use this player life, and we do the mathematical operation. We say like -5. So the new life will be equals to the current life minus 5. Let's move back to the player controls group, and let's add another condition. Now, I'm going to show you this to let you understand the basics, but there are other better ways to do it. We go on the system, and we choose every tick. Every tick means every time that the program loops all the instructions. That is from the top here until the end of all the code. This will happen in one tick. So every time the computer makes a cycle on this loop, we have a tick. So, okay, I forgot to rename this. I will do later. Set the width of the life bar. So with the life bar, we go to search set width in size a position here. And we want it to be wide as the player.life. Now, when the game starts, we have that the life is set to 100, and as a consequence, the life bar will stretch to become wide and number of pixels equals to the life value, in this case 100. Let's go back to the bullet group, and let's see what else we can improve here. We have to consider that this bullet from the enemy is the one inflicting the minimum amount of damage. It means that as a minimum, we get at least 5 pounds of damage from the enemy attacks. Therefore, if the player has 5 as current life value, if it's 5, there aren't any instructions here, and the player will stay alive with 0 until there is another collision with a new enemy bullet that will trigger again this check, and then will act all the other consequences. At this point, we have to modify this check, saying that the action has to be triggered when the life is greater than 5, because we know already that the player will be destroyed anyway. So make sure to do well all this kind of calculation when you create a similar condition. Otherwise, you might have unexpected results. Let's now try if the game works properly. The life bar, as you can see, is full. There goes behind it because the bar is above it on the Z layer. We'll fix it later. You can now see that the life bar goes down. There isn't any explosion because we haven't created any condition for it yet. And let's wait until we die. Okay, it works. The life bar has disappeared because the life value is 0, and therefore the width of the life bar becomes 0 as well, make it invisible. When the game starts again, the life bar goes back to full. So everything is working fine. Oh, let's close the window And then let's go back to our code. We need to add a new action. So when the player is damaged, we want to recreate the same explosion effect. Since this explosion is less powerful than the final one, we are going to replace it with another file. And the image of the explosion will be the same, we just change the audio. So visually we still have the same feedback, but with a less strong audio. Let's go on the sounds, right click, import sounds, and we choose the explosion 02 and import. Okay, double click here and we replace it with the explosion 02, and we change the tag to from play explosion to player damage. Done. And now let's see what's happened. Let's wait for the first enemies. If they start to attack us. Okay, as you can hear, there is a different volume. So this I think is due to my recording software, but you can try at home and for sure it will work. You have to trust me for this one. Sorry about that. Let's do another last thing before finishing for today. And let's go on our player and let's add another behavior. Player, we go here, behavior, and let's add the usual bullet. This time we leave it the speed as before to 70, and then we set the gravity to 100. Then for the set angle we set it to no, and for the initial state we set to disable. Okay, at this point we want that when the player is destroyed, we go to disable first all our 80 direction input. So we disable the 80 direction behavior, and then we go instead to enable the bullet behavior. So we drag this here first in the sequence, and let's go to add the new action player and set enable the bullet. Enable. Done. Bring up here. So what have we done with this? When the player life is 0 or less, we want that the player spaceship stops to respond to the input and the sprite starts to crash. Therefore, the destruction is placed at the end, just before the game over text. And we do the same thing with the explosion and the louder sound effect. So we just duplicate this one here, move down this one here, and we duplicate instead this explosion here. Okay, then we add one wait for 1 second, and then we select these 3 instructions here and we duplicate again. For now we do it this way. There are, as usual, more elegant way to do it. This is just to show what we want to obtain as a result. To recap, when there is the explosion and the player doesn't have any more life, we go and the player 8 direction and we disable it. We wait 1 second, small explosion with the graphic of it, another small explosion, then we disable the bullet. Actually, this is better on top here. So let's start again. So we disable the direction. We start the bullet that start the crash. We wait 1 second, a small explosion until there is a big explosion at the end. Actually, this 3 seconds become 1 second because we already wait 2 seconds. And that's it. Let's see what's happening. Let's see if we can die quickly. We need a little bit more. Nearly there. And as have you seen, the effect is nicer to see now. The spaceship has started to crash, and while moving down, it was having some explosions. I think this is enough for today. We have made our game more appealing to watch, adding the life bar first, and then adding the final destruction sequence. Let's see next time what to add for having a more engaging and fun game. As usual, in the description, you will find the links to where to buy the assets of this game that contains art and audio. And you will find among these different life bar to use as this one. They come in different shapes, and you can also use them to differentiate the bar for a different use. One might be the energy, one the charge for your special attack, another one your protective shield, and so on. You will need just to change the color of the internal bar, and you will have a range of different bars that you can use for any purpose you want. Okay, thank you for now. I will see you next time. Bye.